Hi there, this is David, and welcome to New RPG News. I have a ton of stuff to talk about today, probably more stuff to talk about today than in any other RPG news video that I've ever done. We have like 14 stories to cover here, so I'm going to try to be a little bit quick, but we're going to be first starting off with a friend of mine who got hacked. Zygore Gaming, a really good friend of mine who I've actually done like game shows and stuff with and talked to on Discord and everything else. Here's the game show that we did together. He's been hacked, and he got hacked the same way that I did, and it sucks. And this hacking just keeps on happening. He's got hacked by Tesla US, apparently, and you know that it's him because his community posts are still here. Here's where he contributed to my top 10 regrets video. And if you look at these community post comments, there's everybody bashing me, saying that they all hate me, which is hysterical, but whatever. Anyway, I just want to say, hang in there, Zygore. You'll get your channel back. I know he's already on his way to doing that. He's contacted the people on YouTube over on the Twitter, and they are working to get his channel back. And I am here for you if you need anything, because I just know how this is. I was sick to my stomach. It was horrible when I got hacked. I'm still trying to get the subscribers back that all left me, all 2,000 of them that left. I'm still getting comments every single day saying, David, YouTube unsubscribed me from your channel. What's going on? Again, just check, just double, triple check to make sure that you are subscribed, because a lot of people still got subscribed and a lot of people don't even know about it. So I just want to make y'all aware that this is still happening. It's an epidemic and YouTube needs to fix it. Next up, in our first real story of the day, we have a rating of some games over in Korea, but these are PC games, and it says here that Under Night in Birth 2, River City Rival Showdown, and, most importantly to me at least, Dragon Quest Treasures have all been rated for the PC over in South Korea. So this is exciting news because Dragon Quest Treasures is great. I love Dragon Quest. It's my favorite series of all time. And Dragon Quest Treasures was previously only released over on the Switch. But now we have an inkling that maybe it might come over to the PC. At least we know that it will in Korea, and then more than likely that's just going to be a springboard into, the rest of the world. So if you don't have a Switch and you're still waiting on Dragon Quest Treasures, don't hold your breath, because it shouldn't be too much longer for it to be coming on out over here. That's great news. There's a new demo out for Monster Menu, the Scavengers Cookbook, available, and all the demo save data can be transferred into the full game. This game's going to be released for the PS5 and PS4, as well as the Nintendo Switch. And you can grab them on the PlayStation Store, as well as the eShop over on the Switch. This is kind of a roguelike dungeon crawler, but you have 4 party members, and it takes place with like turn-based battles. And it's also kind of positioning, so it's like strategy type of turn-based battles. So it's a lot of different genres going on. You have your regular turn-based battles, you have a roguelike dungeon crawl, you have strategy placement in combat. So it's pretty cool, it's pretty neat, and if you want to check it out, be sure to look at the demo. It's coming out on May the 23rd in North America and the 26th over in Europe. This is kind of fascinating to me. There's a new Game Boy RPG called Dragonborn Deluxe, and it has a demo. This was never actually like a real Game Boy game. This was a homebrewed Game Boy game that was released back in 2021, but you can actually play it on the original hardware. This is just kind of an upgraded version of it, with, Game Boy Color type graphics and extra combat and remastered music and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be coming out for the Game Boy and Game Boy Color in Q3 of this year, so it's just weird, it's just interesting. Stuff like this, again, it just fascinates me. I love retro RPGs, and seeing people that also share my passion and they're creating stuff like this, that's great. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Loop 8 Summer of the Gods has a new trailer showcasing all of their different locales that you can see. And there's also a little piece of an interview here that I'm going to read to y'all. It says, "What was your inspiration for Ashihara?" The inspiration came from a comment that I got when giving sightseeing tours to my friends from overseas. They said, "I want to see schools and beaches like the ones that you see in the animes." And then it says, "How do you create the nostalgic 80s atmosphere in game?" And then they talk about how they started with history because in the early 80s there were many old buildings because Japan hadn't defined this earthquake-resistant standards and there hadn't been a construction rush from the economic boom. So a lot of older buildings were still around. So I think that's really neat, and that's why they chose this kind of time period. Then it says, are you a fan of anime? Were there any specific animated shows or movies that inspired the setting or the atmosphere? He says, I watched the kind of anime that was always available on American cable TV about 10 years ago, just so I can show all of my friends around. So that's kind of neat, and honestly, these locales are gorgeous, they're breathtaking, they're absolutely beautiful. That being said though, I'm still very questioning on this game because I don't really know if I like the combat mechanics or not, or if it's too visual novelty for me. It just seems so different, so I'm still waiting on that coveted demo myself. We have the first trailer available for Zygore, which we've heard quite a bit about. This is the Superpowers Academy RPG, which is coming out in Japan on June 29th. Basically, it's talking about the various characters, the monsters, and the gameplay in this trailer. Essentially, you play as 7 students' teacher. You're the teacher of 7 students. That's how I should have said it because I can't talk today. But basically, you kind of teach them in class, and they level up in class. And then they go out and fight. And in class, they can gain various stat points, and the more stat points that you gain, the more skills that you'll gain. Then you equip those skills. You have a limited amount of skills that you can equip on a certain character. So it kind of reminds me a little bit of Loop 8, where you actually level outside of combat. You're going to be leveling up whenever you talk to them, or interact with them, or teach them, or whatever. And then you're just going to be fighting in combat. And also it talks about the way that the characters are scarred and how they grow through their past emotional scars. So it seems a little bit gore and horror and stuff like that. This is another one that I'm really kind of questioning myself on. It just seems so different, so odd, and it doesn't seem really my thing. I like, the bright, happy, fun RPGs, not really the bloody gore seppuku kill yourself RPGs that this one looks like, but we'll see. Etrian Odyssey Origins Collection has a new trailer. It's a 7-minute long trailer. It's all in Japanese, unfortunately, but it's just going over what you will expect in this collection that is going to be coming out for the Switch and the PC on June 1st worldwide. These games, if you recall, they were originally released back on the Nintendo DS, and they are dungeon crawling, first-person, turn-based RPGs in the same vein as something like Wizardry, I would imagine. But it has a lot of quality of life improvements, and it has a lot of different character classes that just make it very unique. And it's very much its own thing. It has like auto mapping and stuff like that, so it is pretty cool. I don't really, myself, enjoy a lot of first-person dungeon-crawling RPGs, but the Etrian Odyssey series is an exception to that. I was able to find a lot of enjoyment in this series. Unfortunately, these are just the first 3 games being bundled together, and it's not the remakes. If you recall, they remade 1 and 2 on the 3DS. I believe it was Millennium Girl, and then the Fafnir Knight was number 2. So they're not remaking or redoing the upgrades that they already remade and redid. They're remaking and redoing the ones that they never remade and did. Anyway, yeah, I know it's a lot, but but anyway, look forward to these games coming out if you are into first-person dungeon crawlers. Cry Machina has a limited edition. It's coming out this fall. This limited edition comes with quite a bit of stuff for $100. If you remember, this is an action RPG set in the future after humanity has been destroyed, and these magical girls have to run around and kill people in order to restore humanity. And this is all what it comes with. It's quite a bit for $100. Considering the game itself would probably cost $60 for 40 more, you get an Eden database art book, a Hanamaru original soundtrack, a memorial art print, 2 battle acrylic display, I assume is that thing right there, a cloth poster, and a collector's box. So quite a bit of stuff, and to me, I like collector's editions. I really do. I think that they're very cool, and I like just kind of opening them up and seeing what's inside of them and all that kind of stuff. And it's just so interesting to me how a company like Furyu and NIS can bring out all this great stuff for only $100, but then another company like Square can bring out maybe 1 or 2 things and it will cost 4 times as much. Just saying. We have some sales figures from Nintendo and their various RPGs here. First up, it talks about Fire Emblem Engage selling 1.61 million units, which is about half as much as Fire Emblem Three Houses sold, which was 3.82 million units. That was the best-selling game in the franchise, though. Then it goes on and talks about some other RPGs that were released and their sales figures. They all pale in comparison to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which sold 22.1 million units. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 sold 1.8, Pokemon Legends sold 2.1, Zelda Breath of the Wild sold 29.8 million units, but you know what, it's Zelda, like, duh. And then Ring Fit Adventure, shockingly, sold 15.38 million units. Like, that's a lot. So they just released some sales figures here, mostly on their RPGs, and I just think it's very interesting, but it's nice that RPGs are selling this much. Yeah, they are first party, and we don't get like niche titles or anything else like that, but it's always good to know that RPGs are selling well, and that that more will be released since they are doing so well. Super quick, since we are talking about sales units and stuff, the Final Fantasy Pixel Remastered series sales top 2 million! Hell yeah! These are older RPGs, NES RPGs, SNES RPGs, and the sales topped 2 million? That's huge! That just goes to show, hey Square, guess what? There's still a market for these older, turn-based, great RPGs, and also Square. We need more physical versions. What are you doing? Release more physical versions. People want these things. Come on now. Come on. And of course, we can't have a news show without having a great rumor. The PlayStation Showcase in 2023 is going to air within the next few weeks, reportedly set for the week of May 21st or even earlier. So this is according to journalist Jeff Grubb and Video Game Chronicle. He put in a tweet saying that it's probably going to happen like the week of May 25th, but it could happen earlier. He just said the 25th because he doesn't want people to bitch at him, which I completely understand, people bitching at someone for something completely out of their control. But then it also talks about how it'll probably take place at the end of May or in early June, and interestingly, that it will include some new content from Konami. Remember, like a couple of weeks ago, I talked about Konami and how they are going to be reviving some older dormant IPs and coming back into the video game market, and how they might be talking about some RPGs? Remember? I do. This should be very, very exciting. Keep your eyes peeled for this. Not a rumor. Nintendo Live 2023 Seattle is going to be set from September 1st through the 4th. It says here that this is about gameplay, performances, tournaments, photo ops, and more. So if you're in the Seattle area and you want to go to this, hey, good on you. That's really cool. It's going to be at the Seattle Convention Center, and you can register on their official website to be randomly selected to receive free tickets. That's pretty nice. It tells you how to register, all that kind of stuff, what's going to be going on there, cosplay and costumes and Switch gameplay and championships and all that kind of cool stuff. It says that the online qualifiers for these tournaments will begin on May 27th. So if you are a top performer, if you do play these games competitively, then you're going to want to try to get into this. But again, if you live up in the Seattle, Oregon, Idaho area, and you want to make the drive in, how cool. I am super, super jealous. And our last story of the day, one of the best games of last year, Marvel's Midnight Suns, is now getting a digital-only version for the PS4 and Xbox One, launching on May 11th, alongside some DLC called Bloodstorm, and the Switch version that was originally going to be coming out has been cancelled. This game already came out for the PS5 and Xbox Series and all that kind of stuff, as well as the PC. But if you don't have a modern console, now you can get it on the previous gen's console. But if you have only a Switch, I'm sorry, you're out of luck. This DLC is going to be covering Storm. One of my favorite mutants. I always loved Storm and Rogue and Jubilee. I don't know. I like the girls. What can I say? So this is interesting. So yeah, if you're a fan of this one, be sure to go out and pick it up or download that DLC. And that concludes this week's news. A lot of stuff, like I said, to talk about today. Kind of wanted to go through it pretty quickly, kind of hit on each thing, so I'm not here forever, even though this still took me well over an hour to record, but hey, whatever. Let me know what you guys liked best about this news. Let me know if there's any stories you want me to cover for next time, and as always, have a good day.